Let me tell you a story about a house, a family, and a secret waiting to be found. The Miller family had just moved into an old house on the edge of town. It was big, quiet, and full of history. To most people, it looked like just another old place. But to the Millers, it was their new beginning. One morning, they decided to start renovating the living room. The wallpaper was peeling. The floor creaked with every step. "Let's make it beautiful again," said Mr. Miller with a smile. They began moving furniture, sweeping dust, and peeling off old paint. Everything was going fine until Emily, the daughter, pushed an old bookcase away from the wall. She stopped. "Dad, come look at this." Behind the bookcase, there was something strange. Not just a wall, but a shape, a line, a rectangle. It looked like a door no one knew was there. No handle, no lock, just silence. And in that moment, a simple renovation turned into something much more. A mystery had just begun. Mr. Miller stepped closer, brushing away the dust with his hand. The outline was clear now, a door hidden in the wall. But there was no knob, no keyhole, just a smooth, wooden surface sealed shut. Emily leaned in. Why would someone hide a door behind a bookcase? They both stared at it for a moment. The room felt colder now. Still, Mrs. Miller came in with a box of tools. "Everything okay?" "There's a door," Mr. Miller said slowly, still unsure if he believed it himself. They tapped it, pressed on it, searched for a way in. Nothing. Finally, they called a local contractor, a man who had worked on old houses before. He examined the wall, ran his fingers along the edges, then looked at them. "This wasn't in the original plans," he said quietly. "It's a secret door, and it's very old." With careful work and a few tools, he found a hidden latch behind the wooden trim. He pressed it. Click. The door made a soft sound, like a whisper. Then slowly, it began to open. Dust floated through the air. Behind the door was darkness, deep, still, untouched. The family stood there, frozen. They had just opened something no one had seen in years. And whatever was inside had been waiting. Emily held the flashlight, her hands slightly shaking. The beam cut through the dust, lighting up the inside of the hidden room. It was small, quiet. The air was cold, colder than the rest of the house, like it hadn't been touched in years. Old furniture stood neatly in place. A wooden chair, a writing desk, a narrow bed with faded sheets. On the desk, there were books, papers, a small lamp still plugged in, and on the wall, a clock, its hands frozen at 4:15. "It's like time just stopped in here," whispered Mrs. Miller. Mr. Miller stepped in carefully, avoiding a creaky floorboard. Everything inside was old, but not broken, not ruined, just still. Emily walked toward the desk. She gently picked up a notebook. The pages were yellowed, but the writing was clear. Names, drawings, words in English, notes, little poems, like someone had once spent hours in this room, writing quietly. On the bed, a small stuffed bear sat perfectly upright, as if waiting for someone to return. The family looked around, no one speaking. The room felt private, personal, like a secret that didn't want to be disturbed. And yet, they had found it. Now, it was up to them to understand what it meant. Emily sat at the desk, flipping through the notebook. The handwriting was neat, careful, but some words were hard to read. Faded. Others were underlined, circled, almost like clues. She read aloud softly. Time is the key. Remember the hour. Mr. Miller looked up at the clock. 4:15. That's the time on the wall. Mrs. Miller picked up a photograph lying beneath the notebook. It was black and white, a young girl standing in this very room, near the window. She wore an old-fashioned dress. Her face was calm, but her eyes looked sad. Behind her, on the wall, the same clock, same bed, same stuffed bear. Nothing had changed. Then Emily noticed something else. Small markings on the wall near the corner. Symbols, shapes, and short phrases in English, written faintly in pencil. Don't forget me. She's still here, safe in the quiet. Mrs. Miller whispered, "Who wrote these?" More clues were hidden around the room, in drawers, behind books, letters with no names. Pieces of a story scattered like a puzzle. Each one brought them closer to a truth they didn't yet understand. But they knew now. This wasn't just a hidden room. It was someone's world. That night, they spread everything across the dining table. The notebook, the letters, the photographs. Emily read each page slowly, carefully. Some of the English was old, but she could understand most of it. The writer's name appeared again and again. Anna, a girl who once lived in the house. A girl who loved to write. A girl who disappeared. She must have been part of this family, said Mr. Miller. Maybe a distant relative. They kept reading. The notebook described her days in the house, her dreams, her loneliness, how she felt safer in the small room than anywhere else. One entry caught their attention. If they forget me, I'll still be here. This room is mine. This is where I feel real. Emily held the clock in her hands. 4:15, it keeps coming back. They returned to the room. Everything was as they left it. Still, watching. Then, Mr. Miller gently turned the clock's hands, slowly, carefully, back to 4:15. Click. A soft sound came from the bookshelf. Something had moved. A small panel slid open, and a box dropped to the floor. Dust rose. Emily picked it up. Inside was Anna's final letter. Emily unfolded the letter, her hands careful, her voice quiet. It was written in the same neat handwriting. The ink had faded, but the words were clear. I didn't leave. I chose to stay. This room is my world, where the noise can't reach me. If you're reading this, thank you. You found me. Please remember I was here. Please remember Anna. Silence filled the room. Mrs. Miller wiped a tear from her cheek. Mr. Miller placed the letter back in the box, closing it gently, like it was something sacred. No one spoke for a while. Then Emily looked around and said softly, she was never lost. She just wanted to be seen. They stood together in the quiet, surrounded by the pieces of Anna's life, her words, her memories, her safe place frozen in time. They didn't take anything. They didn't clean the room. They simply closed the door and left it just as it was. From that day on, the hidden room stayed untouched, not forgotten, not ignored. It became part of their home, a mystery solved, a voice remembered, and somewhere in the quiet, Anna was finally heard.